Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CZU and You series. These are resources for recovery, preparedness, and ecological understanding. This evening's presentation is Preparing for Emergencies with the American Red Cross. This is a partnership with the Santa Cruz Museum of Natural History, the American Red Cross, and the Santa Cruz Public Libraries. If you have a question, please click on the Q&A icon. If you're on a computer, your Zoom control bar will be down at the bottom. In the lower left corner, you'll see some audio options. And then in the middle or off to the right, you'll see the Q&A icon. And then finally, in the far right corner, you'll see Leave in a red rectangle. And then if you're on a mobile device, everything is reversed. So you'll see Leave Meeting in red letters in the upper left corner. And then over to the middle or the right, you'll see the Q&A icon. I'm now going to hand things over to Jennifer Hooker to kick things off. Jen, over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. And good evening and welcome to one of the CZU and You Wildfire Series programs. My name is Jennifer Hooker and I am a librarian with the Santa Cruz Public Libraries and the project coordinator of CZU and You. CZU and You is a program series brought to you by the Santa Cruz Public Libraries and the Santa Cruz Museum of Natural History to help inform and prepare Santa Cruz County residents about wildfires. Tonight, we are joined by Patsy Gasca, disaster manager for the American Red Cross of the Central Coast for the last 31 years. And she is going to talk about how to prepare for natural disasters. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Patsy.
Thank you, Jennifer, and look forward to, and thank you very much for inviting me to present tonight. Okay, so tonight we want to go over how to be best prepared and prepared with your Red Cross, and want to go over some tips on general preparedness, touching lightly on home fires, and then of course on wildfire preparedness. So what is the Red Cross? We're one of the largest nonprofit humanitarian organizations. We're all not just locally in the United States, but of course throughout many countries as well. We not only provide domestic response resources and recovery, as well as preparedness, but we're also supporting that across other countries as well. Okay, there, perfect. So I wanted to share a little bit about our mission. Our mission, of course, is that we prevent and alleviate human suffering, of course, in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers. And we also do it with the generosity of our donors. We couldn't do what we do without the donations that we get locally, as well as across the United States. When we're the impacted area, we get support from across the United States to support what's happening here locally. Some of the services that we provide in the 365 days a year, 24 hours, is service to the armed forces. And we are the conduit for folks that are service members and their families, especially the service members when they're at a military base and they have a military emergency. They can't, especially right now with technology, everyone has a smartphone, they can get a message to their loved one fairly quickly. I give them, bad news at times or good news, and they want to be able to leave to be with their loved ones. Well, that's not possible. They turn to the American Red Cross to be able to ground the information and get it back quickly to the command. And then they make the decision at that end whether the person is released or not. In the event that they are released, and most of the time it happens, then they will also look at the Red Cross to support in travel, transportation, support, whether it's maybe picking up the service member or their families at the airport and getting them from point A to point B. So there's a lot of services we provide there. We also are support on any base that they're on, whether it's in the middle of the desert or one of the military bases domestically or across different countries, we're there. Just a couple more. We also do blood services, which is what we're known for. I'm sure most of you see our appeals for constant need for blood donations. Each unit of blood supports and helps 3 individuals. So it's a critical donation that we count on. We count on the generosity of our public to be able to donate not blood when it's critically needed. And when COVID hit, it even became even more of a critical need. So thank you to each and every one of you that are current blood donors or hopefully some of you will also become blood donors because it is a critical need. I myself never thought that we would be recipients of blood donations, but I do have a grandchild who is now 10 years old, but at 3 years old was diagnosed with a childhood illness and requires blood transfusions upon surgeries that she has. So it hits close to home. Sarah, can you go back one more, just a couple more on the mission and the services we provide? Well, she's getting there. The other one we do is we're well known for is disaster relief. So we do everything from a single family event, fires that happen here locally, especially in Santa Cruz County. I cover Santa Cruz and Monterey County currently. So within those two counties, any fire responses, whether it's a single family fire that's had a fire, and usually they're not between 8 and 5, they're 2, 3 in the morning. And we're able to do that again by the power of our volunteers. We have volunteers that are trained and are ready to respond in those respective areas and can get to a fire scene upon the request from our local fire partners or law partners to assist within 15, 20 minutes of a response. And they're there to quickly help the individual or family assess what they need, get them quickly out of harm's way, get them into a hotel for the night or nights, and help them make a plan for what their future looks going forward. And we also do preparedness, which is what you're taking part in tonight. Next. So I wanted to show the hazard maps. Of course, in California, we're very used to, wildfires here, flooding, earthquakes. We kind of, especially in Santa Cruz County, have pretty much been hit by almost everything. And when I say everything, we've also experienced tornadoes here, not to the magnitude that other states have, but they have. We've had tornadoes here, especially in the Watsonville area, in the last 5-10 years. So they do happen, and so we need to be prepared for everything. And when you're new to the area, we really recommend people look at what disasters can happen in your area and to be best prepared for those so that you are informed and have a plan going forward on how you will recover. Next. So it's up to you to be ready. Preparing does not need to be, it has to be perfect, but it has to be tailored for the individual or your family. Be prepared for yourself, your household, and your neighbors. Preparing helps us stay safe, adapt to challenges, and recover quickly. And we've seen that with past disasters where we have such a resilient community that some of our areas rebound fairly quick, and some other ones need a little bit more help, but we're there to assist, whether it's our immediate family or our neighborhood or our community. So we'd like to keep it with 3 things for tonight, is that you get a kit together, you make a plan, and you become informed. So getting a kit together, these are some of the recommended supplies. Now you'll see a picture there where it shows the backpack, but you can put it in what's easiest for you to be able to carry out should you need to leave with it. A backpack is one source. We recommend, there's totes on wheels, there's these larger kind of duffel kind of bags on wheels, whatever makes sense for you and your family, and what you can be able to take when it's fully loaded and get out of your house or where you have it stored. So we recommend at least 1 gallon of water a day per person for up to 3 days. I like to say 5 days, just because in some of the events we've had, you've seen shortages of water and supplies. It's probably best to do it for a little bit longer. And water, there's all kinds of resources. Not only should you get water to have on hand, but if you have a water cooler, you would get the 5-gallon water bottle. So maybe you get 2 or 3 a week, maybe you get a couple extra, so you have that for an emergency supply. And if worst case scenario, you have your water from your water heater that hopefully you're draining at least a couple of times a year, so it keeps it clean and not oxidized. And then, worst case scenario, your toilet tank water, should you not be putting the the purification tablets in there, the cleaning tablets in there. Like I said, that's worst case scenario. So have plenty of water on hand. I don't recommend the bottled water. Bottled waters are quick for, a case or two for immediate need, but not to stockpile it. As we saw with 89 earthquake, people had waters, even the stores had water bottles. And as things came down, heavy items came down, those water bottles exploded. It was quite a mess, and it was water that was not usable to the community. So even if you're a bleach user, you have the bleach container, which is very a sturdy container. Once you're done with it, a couple of drops of bleach that are in it, fill it up with water, tighten the lid, put the date that you filled it, and then there's another resource of water for you to use. And then recycle it out at the end of the year, use it on something around the home, and then redo the same thing again. Food, non-perishable, canned goods, something that's familiar, comfort kind of food for you. Dried, we have, varieties of that now. Can opener, nothing that's electronic, a manual can opener. You can even get those at the 99-cent store, dollar store, what have you. They're fairly inexpensive. Throw those in your kit. Medication, non-prescription stuff, 7 to 30-day supply. Well, that's great. Most people can't get extra medication. So just simply keeping a list, and you can obtain that list from your pharmacy when you next time go to get your prescription filled, or your doctor's office. It can give you the most up-to-date list of medications you're on. Throw that into your kit. First aid kit is always important. I recommend that you have one in your vehicle, you have one at home, and of course one in your kit as well. And that you check for Band-Aids not being expired and things like that. They need to be updated. You can quickly switch out the items. A flashlight and battery is really important. Flashlight with the batteries separate. You want to tape the batteries to the flashlight so that you always have that power source available, but not in your flashlight, because if you don't use it, it oxidizes. It's not going to be any good for you. A battery powered radio, crank radio, they're fairly inexpensive now. There's a demo one in the picture. They're also solar. They're also able to charge your cell phone. So it's a good idea to have those. And of course, an external battery pack is important. Make a shelter-in-place kit. Again, recommended supplies, the canned goods, the first aid kit. And it's just going over those same things that I just went over, so we can go on to the next one. It says don't forget to update it every 6 months or by use date, so that's important. And you can augment your kit as needed, with toiletry items. We suggest you throw in some plastic garbage bags, like the 30-gallon heavy-duty black bags. A bucket's important. That may be the device you will be needing to use for restroom facilities. You just never know. The bucket can also be used to store some other items. Blankets, they're so easy to store now. They sell solar blankets. They're very small, compact. I've even found them at the dollar store for like 99 cents. So very, very useful to throw in there. I would suggest one for every family member in your backpack or emergency supplies. Pet food and bowls are very important. So you have some supplies there for your fur pets. Phone charger, of course, cash, some small bills, small denominations are important. When we have a major disaster in the area, or we have power outages that we've experienced with power shutoffs, not everybody relies on credit cards, plastic, debit cards, what have you, and don't have actually cash to work with. And some of the gas pumps or some of the stores don't have capability to take anything that's not cash. So it's best to have some of that just as a precaution. Tools to be able to turn off your utilities. And I guess we'll go over the shutting off utilities only when requested to do so. A financial go kit is important, something that proves your address, copies of deeds, leases to home, insurance policies, contracts, what have you, that you have on your home, your financial institution, your bank stuff, your contacts there. It's really important to have these. You can store them in the cloud. You can also have them on a thumb drive. And place them in a fire safe box, or at your bank if you have access to a safe deposit box. Again, IDs, copies of all this, birth certificates, social security cards, any legal papers you may need, especially if you've had damage as a result of a disaster. You're going to need these documents to be able to access some of the resources out there. Next. Making a plan. You want to talk with family members of your household and learn each other's needs and abilities and assign roles and how you're going to work together. You're going to at least plan 2 exits out of your home, 2 meeting locations, one near your home and one outside your neighborhood. And really important to have an out-of-state contact. When emergencies happen, everybody's trying to call out as well as people trying to call in because they're aware of the disaster that's happening. So the lines get bogged down. You want to be able to have an out-of-state contact so that you can contact every member of your family would contact that individual and let them know where you're at. So when each of you check in with that out-of-state, they'll let you know where your loved ones are at so that you don't have to worry about where they've taken shelter at. You want to practice this drill at least twice a year. Discuss what to do in case of the emergencies and disasters, such as if it was a wildfire, if it was a storm, if it was a flood, a home fire, etc. Which one of these plans you would use, where you would meet. And simple as drawing it on a piece of paper, going through and discussing it with your family so that everybody's aware. If there's any questions, that's the time to have them, and then to actually practice it. Of course, we don't want to forget our pets in our plan. It's very important. If you're asked to evacuate, to please make sure that you gather your pets, you put them in carrying crates, and that you have any vaccination records for them up to date. Any medical information, again, their medical information can be a simple copy put into your emergency kit, so you have that. Any collapsible crates that you may have that you can put into right next to your kit so they're ready to go. But please bring your pets with you. If you're going to an evacuation center or a shelter, they're more than welcome to come with you. We just need to make sure that you do not leave your pets at home. Let us worry about how we're going to shelter and take care of your pets, but we do this with our partners. We want to make sure no pet is left behind, or no individual stays back because their pet isn't able to go. We'd like you to be informed, and that's some of the resources to find out what's happening in the community. Of course, is your television, your radio, internet, social media. It's amazing how on social media information about a disaster is quickly disseminated. Your telephone, any text messages. The local emergency warning system is really important. If you in Santa Cruz County have not registered with Code Red through Santa Cruz County 911 system, I urge you to do that. It's very simple to do. You go to their website, it says Code Red. It's very easy. You click on the link, you register, asks you a few questions, and you're informed. And it really does work. I am registered in each one of the counties. I live in Monterey County, but I'm registered in both counties. And I was on vacation in Arizona, and I got the alert saying something was happening in Santa Cruz County. So, I find out that way, and the system really does work, as well as other people that may have information as well. Other ways to be informed is first aid and CPR. It's really critical. You never know when you're going to need it, or you may be the only person there that can help render the assistance to somebody who needs it, especially during disasters. We are very limited with emergency responders. We think that fire is going to come out and help us during a disaster when we need first aid and CPR. There are usually fires going on when disasters happen. The police department, we think our law enforcement partners are going to be able to do this. We can't rely on those responders. They're very limited as it is. Ambulances are very limited. So we need to be able to be trained and help each other out recover from such a disaster. Knowledge of local hazards is what we discussed already. It's really critical that you know what kind of hazards happen in your area and be prepared for them. Fire safety is really critical, and to practice your plan. We can skip on to the next one. Next. So home fires is a big percentage. 46% of home fires happen because of kitchen or household fires. and 19% of those result in deaths. That's the number that really want to bring down. Actually, both of them, we'd like to not see home fires at all, but they do happen, so we need to be prepared for them. You see the electrical fires and smoking fires, kitchen fires, there's all kinds, and they happen, so we just need to be prepared. Next. Smoke alarms do save lives. We recommend that you install one on every floor, inside and outside of all sleeping areas, that you test your alarm every month, and at least 2 times a year, that you change the batteries if needed. Now you can buy a smoke alarm that is a 10-year battery in it. You don't have to replace, you just need to test it. So those are available now, and they're very inexpensive. And they come 2 to a pack, sometimes more at your local hardware stores. You can find those, that you maintain them properly, replace after 10 years, and don't disable your alarms. So if you still have the alarm where you have the battery in it and you can take it down, and we know this because the alarm goes off, people usually hit it with a broom because they can't really reach it. The battery comes hanging down, they take it off, they think they're going to put it back when the smoke clears, and sometimes they don't. And unfortunately, we've seen fires that happen shortly after there, and the alarm is melted on the shelf, and the family has lost their home. If you don't know how to have a smoke alarm and are in need of smoke alarms, the American Red Cross does offer a program that we started in 2014, where we install free smoke alarms in people's homes. And there's some criteria around vulnerable neighborhoods and the elderly, what have you. And we are able to install those with our volunteers and in partnership with our local fire departments. You plan and practice an escape route like we talked about before. Just simply, lining out where your bedrooms are at, where your windows are at. If you have a second floor, do you have an escape ladder for that second floor? The important thing is windows and doors. Windows specifically with children. When children are upstairs and even downstairs and there's a fire and their only way out is getting out through a window because they've touched the door and the door is already hot, then you must give them permission to be able to break the window. We teach our kids, don't play with a ball in the house. You're going to break a window, and they have that instilled in them already. But you want to talk to them that in an emergency, it's okay. They can break the window if that's the window to be able to get out in an emergency. And that you have an escape ladder if you're on the second floor and practice using it. Actually, how you hang it out and how the person would get down. Escape routes that are clutter-free are important. And again, where are you meeting outside? Is it by the large tree at the corner, or is it over, 2 neighbors down's home, in front of their home? Is it by, the water hydrant? You need to be really specific. And if someone in your family requires that extra assistance, who's going to be the primary person helping the individual, and who's going to be the secondary if the primary person is not there to do this? Next. And steps for fire safety: evacuate when there's a fire. Of course, stay low and avoid the smoke. Feel closed doors with the back of your hand. Get out, stay out, and call 911. That's really important. If you think that someone's still in the home, please do not go back in there. Let emergency responders go in there and retrieve the person, but do not go back in there. If you can't get out, move to a room furthest from the fire. Close the door, put the cloth under the door to stop the smoke, call 911, and hang a cloth from the window or signal for help from that window so emergency responders know where you're at. So understanding wildfires, unfortunately, we've had our share of wildfires in this area, and I'd love to say that's the end of our wildfires, but it almost seems like we're in wildfire season all year round. So we need to be prepared. They're unpredictable, they're fast moving, and they're very destructive. They're most of the time driven by wind, fueled by trees and structures, and especially with a lot of debris around that hasn't been removed. Flying embers is what starts and spreads a fire. And of course, the long-term impact it has to our communities and our ecological system. So some of the causes, there's lightning. Now we saw that with the CZU fire, how many thousand lightning strikes and where it was out in the ocean, but also hitting us here on land and causing the fires that we saw that were very destructive. Vehicles with dragging chains, simple as that, has caused fires. Of course, arson, which is scary. Campfires that are unattended. Someone tossing a cigarette has started a fire. Construction landscape work has done it. Of course, our power lines as well. The risks, again, they're unpredictable and they're fast. They create their own wind system. I'm sure you've seen on fire events where it causes like a tornado, but it's actual fire, and how quick they move. Very, very, they create their own wind system, and they're very destructive. Flying embers, again, spread fires quickly. The impact on air quality is critical as well. So five key steps is, again, sign up for your emergency alert system. It is critical. They will, when you register, it'll ask you if you want it by text, by email, and if you have a landline still. So you'll be able to get those three if you check them out, or whatever you're more comfortable with. But most cell phones are registered, but just to be sure, you want to make sure you go in there and register for emergency alerts in your area. And if you work in other areas, I also highly recommend that you also register in those counties as well. Anyone can register for any of the counties, so it's simple to do. It's not just restricted to that area or for the residents in that area. You plan so you and your family are ready. You be prepared to leave within 5 minutes. 5 minutes is from a home. If you're in a mobile home, you have less than 2 minutes to get out. So you need to be prepared for the structure that you're in, how quick you're going to need to be out of that home. You plan in advance for a place to go. Again, where is that place that we're going to meet to? Or what is our plan, what we're going to do if we have to evacuate from our home? Where are we going to go? And evacuate immediately when told to. Most people think that they can just write it out. Sometimes you can, but why take the risk? Yes, they're material things, and I know it's hard to lose them, but it's more hard to lose your life and that of your loved ones and or your pets. It's better to evacuate. We are limited again with emergency personnel, and evacuations are done by our law enforcement partners. They're limited. They will be able to go around once, maybe door to door. It may be through a bullhorn. You need to evacuate and leave when they tell you to leave. Sometimes you only have the one way in and out. One road may be congested. So you need to be prepared how you're going to get out as quickly as possible, and do so when they tell you. Most of the time, they're not going to be able to come back to tell you a second time you need to evacuate. They're putting their lives in danger, and they also have families and friends to go home to. And we recommend that you download the RedCross apps. They're free. And on one of the slides, it'll tell you about all the different apps that we have. So some of the wildfire alerts are fire weather watch, red flag warning, extreme fire behavior alert. Those are the ones that you'll see most of the time Office of Emergency Services or the National Weather Service will put out these alerts, and will tell you what alert we're in for wildfires. So for a fire weather watch, fire weather conditions are possible within the 12 and 72 hours. We're monitoring updates, and we're gassing up our cars ready to go. For a red flag warning, our fire weather conditions are occurring. We want to be ready. For extreme fire behavior alert, wildfire is out of control and you need to take immediate action. So by the time you get to number 3 or the third alert, you're pretty much too late. You need to go. To stay safe during a wildfire, if you see a fire, of course, call emergency services. And that would be calling 911. If you see a fire and you want to report it, it's really important that you make that call. You don't want to hesitate thinking, well, somebody else may have called. You want to make sure you called. If somebody else has called, they'll let you know that they've received many calls from it already, but at least you've done your due diligence. You follow all evacuation orders. You leave immediately if you see signs of danger, and know what to do when driving and outdoors. If driving, keep your windows up and vents closed. Drive slowly and cautiously. You turn your headlights on and don't drive through heavy smoke. If you're outdoors, you want to crouch in a pond, river, or pool. Lay flat and cover your body with soil. Breathe close to the ground and call 911 if possible. Of course, after a disaster, let others know you're safe. Watch for post-disaster hazards, hotspots, fallen power lines, gas leaks, flooding, etc. You want to wear appropriate clothing and protective gear. Make sure that water is safe to use. Take care of yourself, your household, and your pets, and monitor local news. So what can you do today and what you can do next? Build a disaster kit with 2 weeks worth of supplies. Develop and practice your escape plan. Share your preparedness knowledge with your network, your neighbors, your family. It might save their lives and yours. Become trained in first aid, CPR, and AED with this automated external defibrillation, and volunteer with your local Red Cross if you have time and are willing to support your local community if affected. It's a perfect way of doing that. And learn about options for volunteering or taking trainings on site for events or specific to hazards. How can you help? Of course, get prepared for you, your family, pets, and your neighbors, especially your neighborhoods. Look around. Maybe a lot of us during day-to-day don't really know who all our neighbors are because we're busy, we're working, we're commuting, but take that time to find out, observe who in your neighborhood may be homebound that may need that extra help. Check in with them. Do they have a support system in place? Would they need extra help? Do they have the ability to call out or request help in an emergency? And be that network to help your neighbors. I never know when it may be you needing that help and when a neighbor or another community member can help you. So some of the volunteer roles that are important, of course, are helping with sheltering, helping with blood donations as they start popping up during a disaster. Health services volunteers, professionals are critically needed all the time, such as we're seeing up north right now for the wildfires. Our biggest thing is there is sheltering, feeding, and taking care of any unmet medical need and any mental health needs folks that are evacuating are needing desperately right now. So those are the critical roles that we need help with following a disaster, and it's better to get trained and prepared in advance to be able to support. Of course, if you're not able to volunteer your time, then any financial contributions through your employer, they have employee giving programs. Money is raised for disasters, stays locally, and supports those affected by that disaster. And that's those donations go to take care of standing up shelters, the feeding needs, the mental health needs, any unmet medical needs. It goes to support those individuals. And blood donations, of course, you can go download the app or go to our redcrossblood.org site and get the information on how to be a blood donor. And then I talked about the Red Cross mobile apps. There is apps for everything. You've taken a first aid CPR course and it's good for 2 years, and lo and behold, you need it all of a sudden and you can't remember what you were supposed to do first. You can click on your mobile device on your first aid app and it'll walk you through what you need to stop a bleed, to do CPR. It's a wonderful app. The emergency one lets you know what emergencies are happening in your area. The hero care is important for those families that are service to military families and need that extra help. That app is there to do that. If you live in hurricane prone areas, we have hurricane apps, earthquake apps, tornadoes, all the way down to, especially pet first aid. We have many of our communities have pets at home, and you want to make sure that you are also knowing what to do to help a pet. Blood donation app is there. You can sign up for a blood donation at your closest site. There is also a youth app with preparedness for youth as well. And you can visit our redcross.org site and then download those apps as well. They're all free. I know I went through this fairly quick. Is there any questions tonight?
Yeah, if anyone in the audience has any questions, please go ahead and enter them into the Q&A, and I am happy to read them aloud. I will say, as a civilian, as someone who is interested in emergency preparedness, I actually have the emergency app that you guys have. And it's really helpful because I can add family members who don't live with me. So I have like wildfire, smoke, flood, earthquake settings for me and my partner here in Santa Cruz out to like a 25-mile radius or something. And then I have notifications set for my mom who lives a couple hours away. So if something happens up there, the app will tell me that there is an emergency or something happened to the parameters that I've set. So it's really useful, a really useful tool. I just realized I can't see me. There I am.
Right. And it's good to keep checking the redcross.org site because they do update more apps as they're bringing them along. But they're really useful and we get really good responses from those folks that have downloaded it and they're free. Nothing better than free, right?
Yeah, it's hard to beat a free app that's especially so useful and doesn't take up a lot of space either. We do have a question. What do you recommend we have in a first aid kit?
So first aid kit, I mean, you can buy them already pre-filled, but Band-Aids, antibiotic stuff, whether it's Neosporin, some burn cream, they have them already pre-packed already, but you can look at what may be missing from it and have some over the counter. I mean, I have in mine, I have, some Tylenol in it, some, ibuprofen. I mean, you have to kind of tailor it for your family. Like I said, I have a granddaughter that lives with me and she has special needs. So she has a wheelchair we also have a go kit for her with all her medical supplies because she's also tube fed. So an extra feeding tube, supplies for her. And she's had to go to the hospital, unfortunately, a couple of times. So as the ambulance comes, we pick up her kit and it goes with her to the hospital. Same thing for your pets. You put in those items specifically for your pet, but things like that would be helpful. There is, the ice packs that you can just crunch up and they become cold. Just double check what's out there already. They're pretty well stocked, but to keep the important thing is to keep it up because those of us that have children at home love pulling out those little Band-Aids, right? And then when you go to use them, they're not there, especially when you did the mistake of loading what cartoon character, a Disney Band-Aid or something fun for kids, and they think it's, fun, and they're pulling them out and using them left and right. So you want to refill them. And they're so inexpensive now. And like I said, most of the items you can even find very inexpensive at the local dollar store or, thrift store or something.
Yeah, and I'll just tack on to that. I've done CERT training, so I'm not just like talking out of nowhere. I do have some certifications and training. But if you do buy a pre-made kit, go through it. Familiarize, and that's either first aid kit or those pre-made like emergency disaster preparedness kits that a lot of places sell. If you buy one, go through it, familiarize yourself with what's in it so you know when you need it, and then add what you need for you to that kit.
Yeah, for the emergency kit, you also want to have some protein bars. These little bars are very inexpensive to get. You put those in there, granola bars, something that's familiar for you and your family. Even some little card games, something to keep your children occupied, maybe just a color book and crayons in there. You've got to really tailor it for your family's needs. What's going to keep them occupied when you have to evacuate? Most of the time when a disaster happens, they'll tell you where to evacuate through your emergency radio network. They'll let you know. The broadcast system will let you know which evacuation points have been opened up and where to go to check in to get that kind of information that's critical.
There's a follow-up question. Do you have a recommendation for a first aid kit that one can buy? Do you have a brand you prefer or location?
The Red Cross sells first aid kits, and they're even at your local stores, everything from Home Depot to Johnson. They're all over. I have a Red Cross one, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and get one. And before that, I put myself one together with just items that I had around the home that I could quickly put together in one kit. It may be in a carry bag, a reusable bag, what have you, but that I labeled it a first aid kit and knew it was ready. I like to have one in my car, as I shared, I'm a commuter. So often I stop and see if somebody needs help, and I've had to use some of my supplies. And it's important that if you use it, you make mental notes that you replace it. So you need them again, they're there. And all that's important and critical to have.
And it looks like Sarah's pulled up the RedCross store.
Yeah. I would have some extra gloves. I would have, especially right now with COVID, extra masks.
Yeah.
I keep a pack of 50 in there. How many times I've gone, especially as of tomorrow, it's indoor masks again, right? So why not have extra ones? Even when they weren't recommended for inside, I'd get to a shop or something where they did request it. And, somebody, especially an elderly person, got to the door, didn't have a mask. And for them to go all the way back to get a mask, and I had extra ones, so I was able to share. But, have extra masks, gloves, sanitizing wipes, keep those in your car, keep them in your kit, ready to go. But there's a variety, whether it's at the Red Cross site or any one of the sites, or your local Home Depot, Lowe's, or, supply store. Even Target carries them.
Yeah. The next question is, where can I take first aid CPR class here in Santa Cruz County?
So you can go to our redcross.org site and it lists the classes. So they are now and have been doing for years, hybrid. So where you take your online portion of your testing and you do that part of it, and then you schedule yourself for in-person just demonstration of your skills. So it's much easier to use now. But you can go to the redcross.org site and look at what classes are being offered, where the closest one is, dates and times that fit with your schedule. And of course, as a Red Cross volunteer, you're also entitled to a free Red Cross class. Of course, our certificates, first aid and CPR, for adults and children, to include AED, is good for 2 years. And it gets renewed as you're on with us because we think it's that important for people to be trained in first aid and CPR.
Is the code red through the city or the county?
It's the county. So if you go to there it is, Santa Cruz County Regional 911 Center, and if you sign up for 911 notifications, it's really easy to fill out the registration form. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it's such a lifesaver. And then there's all kinds. There's Nixle. There's Alert Monterey County in Monterey County. So it's good to check the different county websites. You may be a commuter and working maybe in the Bay Area, so you want to check out what kind of alert systems are there, and vice versa, and register for them. It's not just for the community in that area, but for anyone coming into the area. And we suggest people that come here as tourists, they also register for these alerts so that they know what's happening.
Yeah, whenever I go on vacation, I make sure that I use that emergency app, and I set it up for wherever I'm going. So if there's going to be a flash flood when I'm visiting family in Arizona,
yeah,
Yeah,
the other important one on that shelter app, especially right now when you're saying, so many shelters setting up for the folks up north, and especially in the Sacramento area, is that you can go to the shelter app, you can put in, and it'll see where all the shelters are that are popping open. And you can click on it and it'll tell you if there's still capacity there for folks taking a shelter there, or where the next one is. But it's really important, especially if you have family that's trying to make their way. Maybe they don't have the app, but you have it. You can help guide them as well.
Our next question is, I'd like to get CERT training too. Who offers CERT training?
So CERT training is through our local fire departments. So you can check there. You can also check with the County of Santa Cruz. It should be on their website as well for CERT training. CERT, we have many members that are CERT trained and are also Red Cross trained. So you can't have enough training. We are such a giving community that when disasters happen, we get the calls left and right. We want to help. Unfortunately, we don't have trained people. We really can't put you to work in a lot of the areas that we need help in immediately. And that, like I said, is standing up shelters, making sure we have evacuation centers ready to go to accept folks that are being evacuated. If you're a licensed professional, like a medical professional or a behavioral health professional, those are the two professions that we need licensing from, and we need those desperately. We're so fortunate in Santa Cruz County to have Medical Reserve Corps. I believe there are 500 plus members currently, and it's everyone from medical professionals to also lay people that can also assist with this. So we're fortunate here. We're hoping that Monterey County gets something going as well, but medical professionals are desperately needed. Even if you're retired and you keep your license going, sign up, whether it's CERT or with the American Red Cross.
Yeah, and I will say I'm here in Santa Cruz County, and I've been deployed as a CERT trained individual with my CERT group, and they're never gonna expect you to do something that you're not comfortable doing.
Exactly.
You know, this is all volunteer, and I know that the Red Cross volunteers are very much the same. They'll never put you in danger or make you do something that you're not comfortable with.
No, and we take care of our volunteers just like CERT does. But when you deploy, either whether it's locally or out of the area, especially out of the area, it should not cost you anything to be a volunteer. Whatever you need, whether you're deploying, you get trained and you're deploying to help up north with the fires, we provide the transportation to get you there, whether it's driving, a rental car, whether it's a flight. We'll get you an air flight to and from, your lodging accommodations, all your meals taken care of. You know, if you have laundry needs, what have you, we take care of that. It should not cost you anything but your time. And your time is valuable, and it's valuable to the community that's affected, as we have been over many years. Over 31 years, I walked in with October 1789 earthquake. So I know how many disasters we've had since then. And like I said, I wish I could say that we'll never have another one, but we need to be prepared for what's coming next to us.
Yeah, and even if you're not using the skills that you acquire for deployments, I have found my CERT training to come in handy for personal use.
Exactly.
You know, I hurt myself cooking, or I've helped people in a crisis before, just with the knowledge that I've acquired through training. So, you know, Red Cross and CERT, both of those trainings they're different, but they're very useful. They're good skills to have. You know, all of these things are it's important to know how to do certain things like that. And Red Cross is definitely a good group to learn through.
Well, and it really takes a village. Really, we are our village, to bring our community back together. You know, whether it's passing out food, whether it's helping pass out water, whether it's helping set up a shelter, every person's needed to help bring our community back together, right? And nothing better than our own helping our own. We're very fortunate to have visiting guests that come from across the United States to help us, but our goal is to have local responders ready to go.
We have another question. This is a good question. In an earthquake, is it still correct to shelter in a doorway in a supporting wall?
Yeah, so you know, we want you to be, especially if you have the ability to take cover under a sturdy table that you hold on, and important that you stay there until the shaking stops. Most of the deaths after 89 earthquake, or some of the earthquakes we've had, is from people fleeing a building. They panic, they get scared, they don't wait for the shaking to stop, and they run out of a building, and then, you know, a building comes down or something from outdoors comes down on them. Those are the fatalities, those are the injuries. So if that's all you can take cover is in a doorway, then do so. But if you're in bed, if you're a family member's bedbound, you want to make sure that they lay in bed and they cover their head with a pillow. That's really important. And you want to protect your head. And, you know, of course, get under something heavy if you can. If the person's in a wheelchair, make sure that the wheelchair, they're able to lock it. And again, cover their head until the shaking stops. So all those are really good. If you're driving, most of the time we don't even feel them. We hear, oh, we had an aftershock or an earthquake, and you know, you're a commuter or driving, you don't really feel them. But when it's significant, you will feel it. You want to be able to safely move over to the side of the road and stop, turn off your car until it's safe to move forward.
Yeah, and nowadays they also teach about the triangle of life, which is, you know, the space between like a couch and a falling bookshelf or something. So anything that's going to brace up against itself, you know, you fit in that little spot.
Yeah.
Down below.
That's not something the Red Cross recommends, but you know, people can each do what they see most appropriate. We're just saying what the most safest spots are, is, you know, under something sturdy, especially when you're in a work environment, under a desk that's sturdy. Make sure that the people enter into panic, that you let your coworkers know, you know, slow down, get under something, and take cover until the shaking stops. Of course, you're not going to get into an elevator. When the shaking stops, you're going to want to take the stairs and make sure only if it's safe to do so. And also be able to look around and help. If you're at a business, make sure there's a disaster plan for your business, and what that evacuation plan is really important. We talked about AEDs. You go into any public place, even at an airport, check out to see where the AEDs are. Like I said, you may be the closest one to be able to get that and help someone quickly. Check those things out. My grandkids are in school. I check with the school. What's the disaster plan for the school? What's the plan for where you're going to evacuate my grandkids to, right? Where is the collection point for families to come to when it's safe to do so, right? All these are important things. Unfortunately, we live in disaster-prone areas. I don't think there's anywhere in the United States that is not the case anymore, right? So you can't just say, well, we'll just move away. That's not reality for us, right? So we just need to be prepared, and just general preparedness helps you with everyday life.
Agreed. Well, it looks like we don't have any further questions. Yeah, Patsy, thank you so much for taking time and sharing this. Oh, someone asked, what's an AED?
AED is automated external defibrillation, and that's the machine that gets your heart going again. They walk you through it, so it's not a scary thing to do, and you learn about it or train on it when you take first aid CPR classes. And they're usually in a locked container in a public place. Law enforcement, some of them have them in the back of their cars. You'll see paramedics have them, and then like, if you come into a RedCross office, we have them here as well. We have them in our training rooms, and just like the picture it shows, there's different varieties, but you'll see a clear door. You'll see one that just says AED and a heart. So just check them out and make sure that you're familiar on how to use them.
And I think there's an app, correct, that tells you where the nearest AED is?
Yes. And you can find that on the redcross.org site as well.
Such a wealth of knowledge, Patsy.
So thank you very much. And if there's any follow-up questions, or you think about something after you've shut down for the night, then just either email me at patsy.goska@redcross.org, or contact Jennifer and her crew through Santa Cruz Public Libraries, and they'll get it to me, and I will respond that way. Well, thank you all very much, and good night.
Yeah, thank you. Someone said this was fantastic and not scary. Yeah,
great.
disaster
Well,
preparedness.
It's not meant to install fear. It's meant to be prepared as possible, and know that your community is here to help support you.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for attending. I hope that you were able to take away some valuable information. I'm always learning, even though I've been doing this off and on for many years as well. There are still a couple more programs in the CZU and You Wildfire Program Series that you can register for on our website. Next Tuesday, August 24th, there's a discussion on the role wildfires have on local ecology. That should be pretty interesting. You can register for that by following the link on the library's calendar of events if you're interested. That's from 6 to 7 p.m. next Tuesday. And with that, I don't have anything else. So thank you all so much for attending. And thank you again, Patsy. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening and stay safe.
Great. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.